Jamal Crawford, 38 years old and on his 8th NBA team, has earned a reputation as one of the wiser veterans in the league. That made for a perfect match when another Seattle area resident, the legendary Bill Russell, contacted him last summer. The two, quite appropriately, hit it off. "That was crazy," said Crawford, now plying his trade in Phoenix. "First, he followed me on Twitter, and then I got a message from him to call him, and he wanted to come and see me play. I was blown away. I really was." In addition to watching the workouts, Russell engaged Crawford in some long talks. "Oh, great discussions," Crawford said. "Discussions that are priceless. He's not just like a basketball hero, he's an American treasure. I think anybody who's in his presence and can get that kind of knowledge, the stuff he's seen and been through and just who he is as a person, when you can get that aura and be around that, it's only a blessing," and the two have kept up. He and his wife came and saw me in LA this year, Crawford said. "They were in Palm Springs and drove up to the game, so, yeah, we're in constant contact. That's for life." Someone of his own vintage certainly had a proper sense of the former Celtics' importance, but Crawford believes Russell spans the ages to today's younger players. "Well, honestly, I think with him, he's probably one of the few where even if people weren't alive when he played, they know who he is," said Crawford. "He transcends color, age, even sports. He's beyond almost anything." While Crawford trails Russell 11-0 in championships and won't be getting one this year if he stays with the Suns, he, too, is looked up to by those in the league. Which is why Kyrie Irving got in touch when the Celtic star needed good pickup games to prepare for this season as he came off knee surgery. Crawford did the organizing, and Irving made his way to the Pacific Northwest. "It's funny, because I wouldn't have talked about it if he never did, because I didn't do it for attention," Crawford said. "I was honored that he kind of asked me to set things up for him and get things rolling for his comeback. It was amazing. It really was. To be around him even more, like, we knew each other. We were like family. But to be around each other every day and pick each other's brains, ask questions, talk, that built that real relationship off the court." One of Crawford's strongest NBA relationships is actually with a former Celtic who was traded for Irving. Isaiah Thomas and Crawford share Seattle-Tacoma roots, and the latter is bullish on Thomas's future as he prepares to return from his hip problem. "That's a brother," Crawford said. "He'll be a monster when he comes back. I couldn't imagine him missing one day of basketball, and with all this time he's missed, he's going to be a monster. I'm excited for him." Gamble back in mix. Kevin Gamble says he's happy that he's finally made it back to the NBA, and the 6-year Celtic is a welcome sight when he makes it to the Garden in his role as an advanced scout for the Raptors. Gamble, known around the seas back in the day as Oscar, averaged 11.2 points here and had a triple-double at Golden State on Feb. 16, 1993, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. He went on to be the first head coach for the University of Illinois at Springfield and worked on the staffs at Providence and Central Michigan. Long before all that, Gamble had befriended Nick Nurse while the two were at Iowa and Northern Iowa, respectively. When Nurse moved from assistant to head coach of the Raptors, he was looking for a role for Gamble. "First of all, it wasn't easy to get him hired," Nurse said. "It took a long time and a creative way of getting him in. I wanted to get him in there, but since I stayed, we kept a lot of guys around. So it wasn't like I had a lot of job openings. It wasn't like if I'd went to Charlotte or someplace else and was able to bring in a whole new staff. So that side of it wasn't that easy. But, for me, Kevin and I go back a long way. We played in the primetime summer league in Iowa City against each other and spent some time together, and he was always a guy the first stayed in touch with. I tried to get him hired a couple of times with my minor league teams, and it just never really worked out. Even before I got this job, I was being talked about at other places, and I told him, if I get one, I want to talk to you, and he started coming up to Toronto a little bit and spent a little more time. I'm just glad it worked out, that we got him in there. It's been a long friendship, and I respect what he's done. He played in the league 10 years and then he went back and started coaching. He worked at his craft and had some success and put his time in. This week's timeline: Monday vs. Brooklyn, 7:30 p.m. Mondays with Brooklyn has sort of been a January theme for the Celtics. The C's are scheduled for games on this day on all 4 occasions it arises in the month, and 3 times the Nets have provided the opposition. The Celts won here by 21 on the 7th and lost in Brooklyn by 7 after trailing by as many as 27 on the 14th. Miami somehow snuck onto the Boston schedule last Monday, but the Nets are back to decide this little January best-of-3. No doubt, the hosts will be trying to keep D'Angelo Russell from going as crazy as he did when scoring 34 points 2 weeks ago, but, as noted here often, the Nets have some real players now, so it will take a concerted effort by the Celts to get by. Wednesday vs. Charlotte, 7:30 p.m. The Celtics began the 10-game home winning streak they took into Saturday's game against Golden State with a 119-103 victory over the Hornets 2 days before Christmas. Kemba Walker had 21 points in that game, and he had 43 when Charlotte won on its floor over the C's in November. Cleary keeping him in relative check is always a key against this club. Friday at New York, 7:30 p.m. The Celts close out their season series against the Knicks with this one, and it's been a bit of an odd series at that. Each team won in the other's garden before the C's beat the Buckers in Boston by 28 in early December. The Knicks, without star Kristaps Porzingis all year, have been fighting with Cleveland, Phoenix and Chicago to secure the worst record in the league, but Tim Hardaway Jr. brings firepower, and keep an eye on rookie Alonzo Trier. New York is the kind of team that has hurt the Celts.